Hey everyone, we are so sorry that we missed you last week. I was traveling for my eldest brother's high school jersey retirement and it took me out of pocket for a few days, but we're back. The t-shirts here are designed by Charlie Bean Tees, so check them out if you need custom tees for a special event. And we really missed you guys, but we are back and we're going to pick up where we left off. In this video, we will cover the AP Top 10 teams, the AP Top 25 exits and enters, the undefeated teams, the Week 6 great matchups, the Davis Sports Reports, Players of the Week, and the games to watch for Week 7. Before we get into that, let me welcome you guys back to Davis Sports Report. Go ahead and hit that like button for us to show us that you enjoy the content that we bring. And subscribe to help us get to our goal of 10,000 by the end of the year. Now let's get into Week 6. Starting off with our brand new top 10, and there wasn't much movement at the top, but UConn remains at number 1 for the 6th week. Texas remains at number 2. South Carolina holds steady at number 3. UCLA keeps the number 4 spot. LSU keeps the number 5 spot. Michigan remains at number 6, and Maryland remains at 7. The new number 8 is Oklahoma. They moved up 1 spot. And the number 9 is TCU, who moved down 1 spot, I'm assuming due to their competition. And then at number 10, Iowa State Cyclones hold steady. Next, we will discuss the big moves in the top 25. There were really only 2 major moves, and that is Louisville going up 6 spots after the win over North Carolina, and North Carolina dropping 6, of course, after that loss to Louisville. And now we quickly talk about the exits and enters, and we have Princeton joining the top 25, coming in at number 25 with a 10-1 record, and that loss was to Maryland. I'm not sure about this entry as they haven't played any other top 25 teams, but oh well. Welcome aboard, Princeton. And for the exits, we have Oklahoma State University after the loss to Oklahoma. They now have 2 losses, and the last one was against a powerhouse team. So again, not so sure about moving them off the top 25. Moving on to the undefeated teams. As of today, there are none in the ACC. For the Big East, of course, we have UConn. Then for the Big Ten, there's Maryland and Nebraska, who will meet each other in February. For the Big 12, Iowa State, Texas Tech, Arizona State, and TCU. Big 12 conference play kicks into high gear in January. And for the SEC, we have LSU, Texas, Alabama, Georgia, and Vanderbilt. And SEC conference play will begin in January, and I, for one, can't wait. One thing that we missed in Week 5 was the ACC versus SEC Basketball Challenge, which was very exciting, and the SEC came out on top with a 10-3 win. Super fast, we're going to go through them. Texas got an easy win over UNC. Georgia put a whipping on Florida State. Alabama mollywopped Clemson. Vanderbilt took the win over Virginia. Ole Miss barely squeaked by Notre Dame. Kentucky made easy work out of beating Miami. Oklahoma had a fight, but won against NC State. South Carolina got a close win over Louisville. Mississippi State got the win over Pitt. LSU put the beat down on Duke. Texas A&M took out Georgia Tech. Syracuse from the ACC got a close win that went into overtime over Auburn. My Florida Gators got their tails beat by Virginia Tech. Missouri squeaked out a 1-point win over California. Tennessee barely got by Stanford and those fabulous freshmen, and SMU took out Arkansas. Really, Arkansas? Really? Okay, moving on to recap the great matchups for Week 6. In-state rivalry, Iowa versus Iowa State. This game had the highest viewership of the season thus far, and it really did not disappoint. Starting out, it looked like Iowa was going to walk away with the win. Iowa outscored the Cyclones 23-19 in the first quarter, but the Cyclones came roaring back in the second. Artie Crooks had 14 points before going into the half, and the Hawkeyes, Chit Chat Wright, the transfer from Georgia Tech, held it down for the Hawkeyes with 13 points in the first half. After the half, the Cyclones really started to sneak away with it, going up by 13 at the end of the third. But as they say, it's a game of runs, and the Hawkeyes went on a run in the fourth, closing the gap to 3 and putting them in striking distance. But they couldn't get over the finish line. I observed a ton of 3 points being missed by the Hawkeyes. While I'm a fan of Ava Hyden, the Hawkeyes have to remember that they do not have Caitlin Clark. Play your game, not someone else's. The Hawkeyes went 9 of 24 from the arch. 37% isn't bad when you're playing an average team, but when you're up against the Cyclones who are firing on all cylinders, maybe not the time to be jacking up the threes. Next up is UConn versus USC, and this one surprised me. Now, I did not expect USC to win this game, but I thought they'd put up more of a fight than this. In the first quarter, USC did a great job hanging with UConn in the first maybe 5 or 6 minutes, but Ashlyn Shade had some quick cuts to the basket, and the Trojans literally just could not adjust. But UConn did have some great defense on Kara Dunn, and they seemed to understand that she was their biggest threat. UConn played full court press and was able to force some turnovers and put them up by 14 at the end of the first quarter. Things went from bad to worse for the Trojans. The UConn defense was relentless and they could hardly breathe. By the time AZ Fudd hit that three-pointer late in the second quarter, taking UConn up by 20, I pretty much zoned out. USC scored 9 points in the first quarter and 8 in the second. They did have a better third quarter with 22, but they still couldn't outscore the Huskies. The high scorer was AZ Fudd with 17 points, then Ashlyn Shade with 15. Sarah Williams grabbed 9 rebounds. For USC, Kennedy Smith was the high scorer with 16 points and 7 rebounds. Like I said, they really shut Kara Dunn down. That UConn defense was something special, I tell you. They are going to be tough to beat on both ends of the court. Next up is another in-state rivalry against Oklahoma versus Oklahoma State, and I know the score looks like it was a blowout, but the final score doesn't tell the whole story. Oklahoma State held their ground the entire first half, going into the halftime only down by 5. Both teams were doing a great job of moving the ball and finding the shots. In the second quarter, Sahara Williams was the highlight for the Sooners. She got 10 points, a couple of really sure how things would work with Chavez running the point because she's a shooter. You put the ball in her hand and she is going to take the shot. But it's looking like Oklahoma has adapted and they looked great in this game. The trio of Sahara Williams, Aaliyah Chavez, and Reagan Beers is going to be tough to get around. The high scorer for the Sooners was Reagan Beers with 22 points and 12 rebounds. That was a massive game. Next up is another in-state rivalry, and that is Baylor versus Texas. And what a blowout this was. The Bears only had the lead for 4 minutes, and then they found themselves smelling Longhorns' tailpipe for the rest of the game. There was just miss after miss after miss for the Bears. They had so many breaks they could build a new arena. Jordan Lee started heating up the room pretty quickly when she hit a jumper, tying the game, and it was off and running for Jordan and the rest of the Longhorns. Side note, for Baylor, they really need to get themselves a new point guard. Like, really. The Longhorns went into the half up by 18. Totally honest, I started losing a bit of interest as the third was much of the same. Jordan Lee was left open so many times at the three-point line, and boy, did she make them pay for it, going 4 of 7 from the arch. She also had 4 steals. No one from Baylor got into the double digits, but I will give props to Dariana Little-Page-Buggs, who had 14 rebounds. This was one horrible showing for the Bears. Next up was South Carolina versus Penn State, and this was truly an embarrassment for Penn State. The first quarter was a run and gun, and Joyce Edwards really showed up and showed out. They dished inside, and she was basically unstoppable. It was a clear mismatch, and South Carolina completely exploited it. In the second, Shayla Smith threw Ayla McDowell to the ground on a rebound. I mean, it got a bit physical. Kiyomi McMillan thought she was going to juke Raven Johnson, and Raven said, "Not today, ma'am." She was on Kiyomi like hog on slop. Gracie Merkel got into a bit of foul trouble. She had She had 2 before the halftime, and she did ultimately foul out, which, they really need her in the game. And Tania Latson and Joyce Edwards were just Batman and Robin. They played off each other so well. Joyce was the high scorer with 29 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, 6 steals, and 4 blocked shots. Talk about a great night for Joyce Edwards. Latson had 18 points, 6 rebounds, 8 assists, and 4 steals. Way to go, Gamecocks, and close that thing out. The last game we're going to cover is Louisville versus North Carolina. And Louisville just continues causing the upsets. The first quarter was raining threes. Lainey Grant got the party started with a 3 just 2 minutes into the game, and Laura Ziegler, the transfer from St. Joseph's, answered her call. Then Raina Scott and Nyla Harris decided to get in on the fun and sink some threes themselves. We got another from Ziegler, later answered by Nyla Brooks, but Ziegler wasn't going to let the 3-point fun end like that, and she put up her third 3 of the quarter with 29 seconds left in the first, which was just enough time for Lainey Grant to get the last word for Q1, sinking her second with 2 seconds remaining. If you were counting, that was a collective 8 3-pointers made in just the first quarter. The second quarter was much cooler. There was a good 4-minute stretch where neither team could hit a layup, much less a 3-pointer. Very low scoring second quarter, but Tiana Robertson did get in on the fun and put up 2 3-pointers herself, which made up half of the Cardinals' 12 points in the second quarter. Louisville headed into the half up by 5. After the half, UNC came out aggressive and they swapped the lead with the Cardinals. There 3 or more times, and more threes were made, and regulation ended with the Tar Heels and the Cardinals tied 66-66. Heading into overtime, it was all Cardinals. The Tar Heels didn't get on the board at all in overtime. The Cardinals were really just able to draw some fouls, having 6 of their 10 overtime points coming from the free throw line. The high score for the game was Laura Ziegler with 17 points, going 3 of 4 from the 3. She also grabbed 8 rebounds. For the Tar Heels, it was Talia Henderson coming off the bench, putting up 13, going 3 of 3 from the arch. All in all, there were 19 made 3-pointers in this game. Some of these ladies are very efficient from the arch. It was awesome to watch. Now for our players of the week. For my partner, she chose Madison Booker. Booker had a great run last week, particularly in the game against Baylor, where she was the top scorer of the game with 27 points. Add to that 8 rebounds, 5 assists, and 3 steals. Booker also had a massive game against UT Rio Grande with 28 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists, making her the top scorer and the top rebounder for the game. For me, Audie Crooks has landed back in the Player of the Week for Davis Sports Report. Audie had another massive week. I mean, she shined last year, but she is moving people out of her way this year. She is currently topping the leaderboard for all Division I women's basketball players, averaging 27.8 points per game. She just makes it look so easy. Last week, she had a 30-point game against Iowa with 10 rebounds and a 30-point game against Northern Illinois. What a week.
How many text messages or tweet, how many things did you have from your friends, family, and everybody else when you came back from the game last night?
Text, it was like over 150. Instagram, I turned notifications off. Twitter was buzzing. I don't know, it was just cool to see that people are starting to notice Iowa State and women's basketball globally.
And I know there's a pretty prominent Iowa State alum who also was tweeting your name and all kinds of stuff.
Tyrese? Yep, we love Tyrese.
Back and see your phone.
So those are our players of the week. As always, do let us know if you saw someone that dominated last week and should be considered for player of the week, or if you agree with ours. Next is games to watch next week, and it's actually a very quiet week as it relates to top 25, but we have a few interesting games. First off is Stanford versus Washington. That'll be Friday, December 19th at 10 p.m., and it can be watched on the ACC network. Then Louisville versus Tennessee, and that'll be Saturday, December 20th at 11 a.m., and it can be viewed on Fox. Next, we have Iowa versus UConn, and that's going to be Saturday, December 20th at 1:30 p.m. Also can be viewed on Fox. And then Texas Tech versus Baylor, Sunday, December 21st at 4 p.m. on ESPN Plus. And ESPN favors Baylor in this game, but I am predicting that Texas Tech will take the win and make their debut on the top 25 next week. Let's see if I'm right. That's all we have for today. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please remember to hit that like button so we can get more traffic over here. And if you haven't already subscribed, please do so. And we will see you guys on the next one. Goodbye.